A immoral one? The prince asked somehow involuntarily. Yes, not a physical one. I don't think anybody's going to raise his hand now against someone like me, even a woman wouldn't hit me now, even Ganchka wouldn't. Though there was a moment yesterday when I thought he was going to leap at me. I'll bet I know what you're thinking now. You're thinking, granted he shouldn't be beaten, but he could be smothered with a pillow or a wet rag in his sleep, he even ought to be, it's written all over your face that you're thinking that at this very second. I never thought that. The prince said with repugnance. I don't know, last night I dreamed that I was smothered with a wet rag by a certain man, well, I'll tell you who, imagine, Rogozhin. What do you think, is it possible to smother a man with a wet rag? I don't know. I've heard it is. All right, let's drop it. So, what makes me a gossip? What made her call me a gossip today? And, please note, once she had already heard everything to the last little word and had even asked questions, but women are like that. It was for her that I got into relations with Rogozhin, an interesting man. It was in her interest that I arranged a personal meeting for her with Nastasia Filipovna. Was it because I wounded her vanity by hinting that she was glad of Nastasia Filipovna's leavings? But it was in her own interest that I explained it to her all the time, I don't deny it. I wrote 2 letters in that line, and today a third about our meeting. This is what I started with, that it was humiliating on her side, and besides, that phrase about leavings isn't mine, in fact, but somebody else's, at least everybody was saying it at Ganchka's, and she herself repeated it. Well, so what makes me a gossip for her? I see, you find it terribly funny now to look at me, and I'll bet you're trying to fit those stupid verses to me. And perhaps a parting smile of love will shine upon the sad sunset of my decline. 43. Ha, ha, ha. He suddenly dissolved in hysterical laughter and began to cough. Please note, he croaked through his coughing, about our Ganchka, he goes talking about leavings, and now look what he wants to make use of. The prince said nothing for a long time. He was horrified. You mentioned a meeting with Nastasia Filipovna? He murmured at last. A. But can you really and truly not know that there will be a meeting today between Aglaya Ivanovna and Nastasia Filipovna, for which Nastasia Filipovna has been summoned purposely from Petersburg, through Rogozhin, at Aglaya Ivanovna's invitation and by my efforts, and is now staying, together with Rogozhin, not very far from you, in her former house, with that lady, Darya Alexeyevna, a very ambiguous lady, her friend, and it's there, to that ambiguous house, that Aglaya Ivanovna will go today for a friendly conversation with Nastasia Filipovna and for the solving of various problems. They want to do some arithmetic. You didn't know? Word of honor? That's incredible. Well, all right, so it's incredible, anyhow, where could you find out from? Though here a fly flies by and everybody knows, it's that kind of little place. I've warned you, however, and you can be grateful to me. Well, goodbye, see you in the other world, most likely. And here's another thing, even though I acted meanly towards you, because, why should I lose what's mine, kindly tell me? For your benefit, or what? I dedicated my confession to her, you didn't know that? Yes, and how she accepted it. Hey, hey. But I've never behaved meanly towards her, I'm not guilty of anything before her, it was she who disgraced me and let me down, and, incidentally, I'm not guilty of anything before you either, if I did make mention of those leavings and all the rest in the same sense. To make up for it I'm now telling you the day, and the hour, and the address of the meeting, and revealing this whole game to you, out of vexation, naturally, and not out of magnanimity. Goodbye, I'm talkative, like a stammerer or a consumptive, watch out, take measures, and quickly, if you're worthy to be called a human being. The meeting is this evening, that's certain. Hippolyte went to the door, but the prince called out to him, and he stopped in the doorway. So, Aglaya Ivanovna, in your opinion, will go herself this evening to see Nastasia Filipovna? The prince asked. Red spots appeared on his cheeks and forehead. I don't know exactly, but probably so, Hippolyte answered. glancing over his shoulder. And anyhow it can't be otherwise. Can Nastasia Philippovna go to her? And not to Ganchka's either, he's almost got himself a dead man there. That general something, eh? It's impossible for that alone. The prince picked up. How could she leave, even if she wanted to? You don't know the ways of that house. She can't leave by herself and go to see Nastasia Philippovna, it's nonsense. You see, Prince, nobody jumps out of windows, but if the house is on fire, then the foremost gentleman and the foremost lady might up and jump out of the window. If the need comes along, there's no help for it, our young lady will go to Nastasia Philippovna. Don't they let them go out anywhere, those young ladies? No, that's not what If it's not that, then she only has to go down the front steps and walk straight off, and then she may not even come back. There are occasions when one may burn one's boats, and one may even not come back. Life doesn't consist only of lunches and dinners and princes shch. It seems to me that you take Aglaya Ivanovna for some sort of young lady or boarding school girl. I talked to her about that, it seems she agreed. Expect it at 7 or 8 if I were you. I'd send somebody to keep watch there, to catch the moment when she goes down the front steps. Well, you could even send Kolya, he'd be very pleased to do some spying, rest assured, for you, that is, because everything's relative, ha, ha. Hippolyte left. The prince had no cause to ask anyone to spy, even if he were capable of it.